50, and today I have with me Karen Knott. Hi, Karen.
Hi there, Kerry.
Now, Karen and I are going to be talking today about women over 50 setting up their businesses. So perhaps what we could do is start off with Karen. Perhaps you can just tell us a little bit about what you do and how you actually came about doing it.
Well, yes, I'd be delighted to, Kerry. I suspect that my sort of journey to self-employment mirrors a lot of other people's in many respects, in as much as, I started off doing one thing a long time ago, which was teaching. And then I moved into business with my partner, where I was the training director in our company. And after that, there was this sort of period of a couple of years of what I call sort of like a growing discontentment, and that sort of thinking, do you know what? I don't think this is doing it for me anymore. I want to do something different. The catalyst for me was the actual the death of my parents within 6 months of each other, which sort of, suddenly made me think, you know what? I've been talking about this for a long time now. It's time to act. Long story short, Kerry, I trained to be a coach, and that was actually the best decision I ever made. And I started off as a personal development coach, working with midlife women. And a lot of those women were actually, through the coaching process, deciding that starting up in self-employment in some way was, the way they did it. And so then I didn't separate prime time business away from the personal development side. That's what we do now in prime time business, is work specifically with old women who are looking to set up a first time business later in life.
And of course, I think statistics are showing that people who do set up businesses later in life are actually far more successful than those perhaps younger generations who setting up businesses.
Absolutely. It's what was the statistics? I saw something about, I think it's like 70% of businesses started by people in their 50s survive for at least 5 years, compared to something like 28% of 20-year-olds starting a business.
Yeah, I read the same stats. In fact, I interviewed a psychologist about the reasons behind that as well, which was quite interesting. So, but we do see an awful lot of talk, don't we, in the media about olderpreneurs. So why do you think there are so many women, and men too, I guess, over 50, trying to set up their first time business?
Well, yeah, olderpreneurs, as I think you know, Kerry, I loathe the term. It really presses my buttons. But, as I say to people, the thing about the term olderpreneurs is it's proof that, this is a real phenomenon. It's not just something that's made up. And, the figures do actually speak for themselves on this one. I think it's around 1 in 5 people over 50 is self-employed. And entrepreneurs are now in their 50s rather than their 20s, perhaps a lot of people might think. But the reasons for this, I guess many and varied, but the difficult economy has played a part in that, that's for sure. With 1 in 3 people aged between 60 and 65 unemployed, 50 and 65 unemployed, the prospect of you getting a job is becoming increasingly difficult out there. So, and that, of course, and there's all that delayed pensions, ageism in the workplace, etc. So, given all this, starting a business no longer that sort of risky option that perhaps it was before, but it's actually, quite a viable alternative now. And I think a lot of older women are seeing it as actually it's an opportunity to, take control of their financial future. And, our generation as well is very different from previous generations, because 50 is the new 30. We can pretend. Absolutely. But, certainly, our generation are much healthier than previous generations, which means, we have the prospect of many healthy, productive years ahead of us. And I guess the other thing, sorry, Kerry, I was just going to say the other thing is technology. That has been the big game changer. it just gives us incredible flexibility. Like, I mean, like you and I having this conversation now, you know, in your office, me in my office at home, it's been a real game changer.
But funny enough, just briefly touching on technology, I was asked to give a talk. We spoke about technology, and when I set up my own initial business when I was in my early 30s, it cost me a fortune just to set up my office. And that didn't even do as much as my current laptop does with broadband. You know, I was having to have special ISDN lines, etc., installed, and it was a massive investment before we even started to actually do any business. So I think times have changed, and technology does help enormously.
Totally agree. I mean, essentially, you know, you have a laptop and a broadband link, and you know, you're up and running.
Yeah, very different.
And often stuff that people have, equipment that people actually are using for other things anyway. You know, it's not even a new investment that they have to make.
No. And from a woman over 50, how does it differ for her setting up her first-time business compared to a woman perhaps who's sort of, you know, in her 30s today? What are the main differences, do you think?
Yeah, I guess the main differences, I would say, are between sort of the 50-year-old has values have changed, probably. And therefore they have different motivations. Those are the differences, I think. You know, when I say that our values have changed, I think it's a case of, you know, what really matters to us has changed, and that when we get into our 50s, we start looking for something which gives us a sense of purpose, you know, where we can make a contribution and get a real sense of fulfillment. And I'd say one of the major differences is that success in our 50s is as much about making a difference as it is making a fortune.
Yeah.
You know, and that sort of that different motivation is that sort of thing that which often coincides with that you know, that natural midlife reassessment time. You know, when we sort of look at, you know, what we're doing, sort of saying, is what I'm doing now what I want to be doing for the rest of my life, you know? And it's also that time, if you've had that aim of doing something different, it's like, well, it's now or never, really. And that's a huge motivator. And I think it's like a natural time where people start looking at new ways forward. You know, they're looking for different ways in which they can channel all that experience that they've gained, all that knowledge, all that energy in something which they enjoy doing, which makes the difference, and which also makes them an income, you know? So I suppose it's about making a contribution and fulfilling potential at the same time.
So
oh, and sorry. Go on, Kerry.
Finish, sorry. So what types of women typically come to you? What types of women do you work with? Are they ones that already know they want to set up a business, or do you help them decide that's perhaps the path they should be taking?
Well, that's a very interesting question, because I think there's probably the two differences there are representative of the two different types of women that I work with. There's the first type, which is one who has this desire to do something different, you know, recognition that actually a business of some sort is going to offer her what she's looking for. But what? That's her big question is, but what? What is it I can do? And that woman, it's about sort of finding that that elusive sweet spot is what I call it, which is, you know, that bit where you align your experiences, your gifts and your talents with something that people want and need and are willing to spend money on.
Yeah.
So that's the one type. And there's the other, and the other type of woman is that they know what it is they want to do. In fact, you know, they're probably incredibly good at what they do, but they don't really know how to turn that into a business.
Right.
So for that woman, it's more about, I take them through my process, which is called clarity mapping, which is really helpful.
Clarity.
It's clarity mapping.
Okay.
Mapping is the process, and that's about help get a really clear strategy for their business, you know, a credible plan.
Right.
Because, you know, once you get really clear on what it is that you can do, that's when you get the confidence and the motivation to get out there and do it as well. So for those women, it's about really sort of, you know, it's like putting the pieces of their particular business jigsaw puzzle together.
Interesting. Right, so hopefully next time what we will do is we'll be moving on to some more in-depth discussion on this topic, won't we, Karen? That's a great introduction. So thank you so much for joining us today, and look very much forward to the next instalment.
Speak to you soon, Kerry.
Speak to you soon.